What do you think is going to be banned today?
I think that they can't really ban out Rudolph in the top lane. We've seen him do quite a lot on almost everything. But I think on the side of Beserk, they'll need to ban Rengar, Jace, and Camille. Definitely need to ban that Camille out. We see the Zac coming in immediately. One of Hirantier's, have no idea how to pronounce his name. One of his most proficient champions, so definitely targeting him directly. And same for Jace. We've seen Jace being used by Rudolph hugely in the last couple of games, and he's done so well on it. So I would expect the Zac and maybe a Kha'Zix or a Thresh ban, since it's directly targeting the Thresh main in Introduction there, who plays almost 100% exclusively Thresh, so that would really knock him back onto one of his less proficient champions, maybe Karma or a Blitzcrank or something.
Yeah. So we see the Jace being banned on the side of Berserk.
Yeah.
And they're also coming out with the Rengar ban, which is understandable, seeing as Sniltwit has performed fairly well on Rengar lately.
Yes, indeed. I'm expecting a Camille ban as the last one. There is. I actually have all three bans on the side of Berserk perfectly planned out.
Yeah.
I only got one on the side of QLP though.
Yeah, you see him picking Jhin, seemingly to top lane, but I'm assuming that it's gonna be Hockey playing Jhin, and that's a Maokai in top lane and the Kha'Zix in the jungle. Let's hope he actually switches over to Smite.
Exactly, we really hope he switches over to Smite. Kha'Zix is his best champion on the side of Ferranthir. He had his Zac banned away, so that would put him over directly onto the Kha'Zix. I'd expect the Rengar, which instead of it's been banned away, so the Ivern would definitely be locked in here. The reason why we see the Jhin pick up on the side for Hacky is because it's ID Curry's most played champion, so it'll force him onto maybe a Caitlyn, which the Jhin will actually outplay the Caitlyn, because even though he has less auto attack range, he has the ultimate, which has a huge range on it and has 3 or 4 shots, so he can use that to more of an advantage rather than the ace in the hole coming out from the Caitlyn. So I'd expect maybe a Caitlyn to be locked in here, or a Varus to try and counter the Jhin, but that's been banned out, so they've been thinking ahead in this game.
Yeah, you see the Karma being picked in on mid lane, but I'm not sure if Fusa is going to play that on mid lane or if they're going to go that for Malz, but I actually think that he's going to go with Karma on mid lane, and we see him hovering the Kassadin, BRK Swix. No, that's a Victor locked in, which in a way, if Karma's not careful, it's actually kind of a counter. Yeah, she can run away from his ult, but if he's good with his laser, then he should not have a problem against Karma. Speaking from experience right there.
Exactly. It is a flex pick to have that Karma there picked up in the second rotation. It could be flexed to the bot lane as the support, or it could be in the mid lane against the Victor, as you said. I would expect it more to be the support pick. To be against that Thresh, even though I really don't like the fact that they left the Thresh up. The Thresh, most played champion, almost 100% played by him. He has so many games played this season. It is what brought him to Diamond, and what has brought him to Platinum 1 in Flex Queue. So it's really poor decision making that they left that up, in my opinion. The Maokai was kind of an obvious decision for them to bring to the top lane, a little bit of tankiness, some of that initiation which they need as a front line with that Thresh. It should work well enough into the Fiora. It's not too bad. They're looking for more of a pick comp on the side of Beserk here, and a little bit of a team fight comp on the side of QLP with the Karma and the Orianna there.
Yeah, I said that I thought that Karma was going to be on the mid lane. I was wrong. That's an Orianna on the mid lane. And Orianna's a bit more equal with Victor, I think.
Yeah, it works much better into the Victor because they're both low mobility champions, but with the slow from the ball that Orianna has, she can slow down the Victor, which will make it easier for the Shockwave to land, and he's very vulnerable to the Shockwave then. And then you can also land the Root Seed from the Ivern and just keep locking him down so that the Jhin can land his Curtain Call. It's just so much CC, allowing for them just to blow up all the squishies. And there we do see the Caitlyn being locked in on the side of Beserk, which is the second most played champion for ID carry there, so it's a pretty standard pick in my opinion.
Yeah. So it's it looks like Carmen, they want to kind of poke out Caitlyn fresh. Hope they don't get good enough initiates. Like that Thresh won't land his hooks, but I do think that if he's been playing a lot of Thresh, then he knows what he's doing. So so yeah.
I would have preferred to see maybe a more of a poke champion in the mid lane, like the Talia that we've seen him on before, or the Cassiopeia, or maybe even a Corki. But they do need that AP in the mid lane, even though they have Mal's on the Karma in the bot lane. We don't see a huge amount of AP on the side of Beserk Gaming here, Beserk eSports. We just see the Victor in the mid lane, which is quite a lot of burst AP when you see him using his Death Ray and using his Gravity Field and everything like that just to lock in all the low mobility champions like the Jhin and the Orianna. But going to be pretty useless up against the Fiora, which has that Q. I forget the name of it. Terrible telecaster.
Riposte?
No, riposte is to block it. The lunge or whatever it's called.
I'm not very.
Fiora hardly ever gets picked in this meta, so I didn't bother learning it.
Yeah, I'm not very well versed in top laners.
But it plays pretty well into the Maokai anyway, so I quite like that pick. But Maokai will get really tanky towards the mid to late game, so he can just initiate and go in on the low mobility Jhin. And he could also suck up the damage from the Curtain Call, and he could block the Deadly Flourish so that Caitlyn could do her thing and just try and get the squishies like the Karma. I do expect the Karma to do quite a lot of work in the early game in the bot lane, specifically because she has so much burst and so much range just to poke Caitlyn and poke Thresh out of the lane and try to zone them away from the farm. And also, Jhin has a much better level 1 than the Caitlyn does, even though she has much longer range with her auto attacks. He has so much more damage and much more zoning ability with his Dancing Grenade, and just basically using his lane presence just to zone them away as much as he can.
Yeah. So the nice thing though, like against the Orianna, against the Victor, and the reason that at least that I see that she goes better against Victor than Karma is because her abilities go through the waves just like Victor's laser. Karma's doesn't. Like the only thing that does go through minions is her W, of course, but she is relying on getting through the minions to either just normal Q or mantra Q him, and but Orianna doesn't need that. She can just push her ball into him and W, and then that's quite a lot of burst right there.
What I also like about the Orianna pick with the Ivern pick is that they both have shields, so they can protect the AD carry in team fights and keep him alive, so he can get all that damage down during the team fights. The Trigger Seed and the Protect from the ball just having so much of shielding power.
Can you give me a second? I'm just gonna have to talk to the chat for half a second. If you want me to make the Beserk logo spin, then make a GIF for me. I literally took the logo from the gamer.no site, so I cannot make it spin.
Make it spin? Why do they want it to spin?
Because the QLP Gaming logo is spinning.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough.
So yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it spin unless you make a GIF for me. So, yeah.
I think it's going to be quite interesting first game anyway, and it will really influence the next game for the picks and bans there, because there'll be champions from this game that they'll really want to ban out, having seen how proficient they are on it. I expect the bot lane to go in Jhin and Karma's favor in the early game at least, unless Thresh can really land his hooks. But he is a Thresh main, so I'd expect him to land his hooks pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting anyway. But Kha'Zix wins in the jungle matchup, because Ivern will be building mostly utility. He'll be building his he'll be building his redemption and probably into a locket after that, just to try and keep his whole team alive. And that's basically what he does as a jungler. He's not a damage jungler. You basically have him there just to support the rest of his team.
Just like Kindra's an AD carry jungler, he's a support jungle.
Whereas with Kha'Zix, he's more of a pick jungler, where he just wants to assassinate anyone on the side of the enemy team. And we actually see the Blood Moon map for this one, which is pretty interesting to see. I seem to have no volume. There we go.
I have some volume. Now I'm gonna have to warn the chat that if you do not stop asking for me to make the logo spin, then yeah, I'm gonna have to ask my mods to ban you. And we see here that they're actually going for, like, thinking about the invade.
They are hiding in the bush there. They're hoping that Jin will go for an early face check, but he's not going to be like that. He knows that their team will have. He knows their team will have that much CC and early game damage that it's just really not worth it to get a ward down. We see actually all of them clumping up together at this point, but they're just gonna go to their standard lanes after this.
Yeah, there's not gonna be an invade here.
They could try and invade and actually get the early steal on the red buff, because they have usually a Thresh would start off with the Flay, but if they wanted to go for the invade, they start with the Q with the hook there.
Hook, yeah.
So they could just land that onto any champion that would get in the way, be it the Karma or the Jin, or if no one gets in the way, they could just get a double buff or early triple buff if Ivern doesn't decide to go for his own steal onto their red buff.
Yeah, I'm trying to, my interface is being stupid again for some reason. So now we see that the people are going into their lanes and we're starting the, starting the farm fest. And we see our Fusai actually started his shield to be able to avoid the early harass from Victor.
It's a very interesting start there.
Karma's making sure of being able to poke.
And Sivelt is going for the early gank in the top lane. A lot of damage coming down onto him, but they won't be able to pick this up here. He's going for their level 2 cheese gank in the top lane there, just so that he can try and zone him away from the farm a little bit, maybe force him to back, since he did start with the Doran's shield there, rather than going with the corruption potion for the first start. What you'd more expect from the Maokai, being he's in a losing matchup in the early game, with Fiora doing so much damage. Yeah. You'd expect him to start off with the corruption potion, go back, buy 2 Doran's rings when he has 800, and then TP back to lane. And from there he can go into whatever he wants to build. Usually a Sunfire Cape is the first item, with Fiora building into the Ravenous Hydra as her first item.
Yeah, true. Oh, there's a guy from Kha'Zix, but
that was a nice flash.
The flash and shield from Karma made it a really nice escape from Haki. Nice reaction time, though they could have possibly avoided it, but then again, you know, it's easy to be, wise after things happen. I'm not sure what that what the word phrasing for that is in English. I know
in English it's things are easier in hindsight.
Yeah. Basically, that's what I was looking for.
Which is 100% true. They didn't have warding there, but they didn't expect for Kha'Zix to go for such an early gank in the bot lane. He was only level 3 after having 6 farm, gone for his double buffs. He probably did Gromp as well, so he would have done his double buffs, his Gromp, and he would have done his Wolves before going for the gank in the bot lane. Which is very unusual for Kha'Zix to gank pre-level 6 anyway, so you can't blame them for not expecting the early gank.
True enough. So, and we saw that Orianna is starting to harass Victor a bit in the mid lane, which is expected now that she got level 4 and has all over 3 spells, and especially the Dissonance, which is... And there we have some trade on top lane.
There's just a little bit of trade in top lane.
Where actually
won
Maokai
that.
Came out on top.
Just a little bit. It's going to be a lot of trading in the top lane, with a little bit of poke back and forth. Not much going to go on until Maokai can get a little bit more damage, a little bit more tankiness, and maybe can actually trade with Rudolph's Fiora there.
Yeah, but he still actually came out on top in that trade simply because of his passive, his spell vamp right there.
What I would have expected to see in the bot lane just a minute ago was Malz was really in a position that was really bad for him and could have been hit by the hook, which could have given lots of free damage onto Malz maybe forcing Haki and Mal's back in lane, but maybe they want to keep the lane pushed up so that they're more vulnerable to, so that QLP is more vulnerable to a gank, since Heronthir's Kha'Zix is in the bot lane right now by his jungle and might be looking for to make a pick on the bot lane very soon.
Ooh, that's a Thunderlord proc from Orianna right there, dealing quite a bit of damage onto Victory. He's struggling now. Like he was the one mainly doing the harass, trying to get off the damage on her in the beginning, but after she got level 4, she kind of took over. And Rudolph is failing his trading with Maokai right there on top lane. Not that's a
that was a nice
from
first
Orianna
blood with
away, a very nice flash to make sure that Kha'Zix wouldn't get his isolation off on him.
Ivern was also there for the support so that she wouldn't be isolated as well. Even if she didn't flash, she would probably been safe using her protect with her dissonance maybe. Even though she's in a load of trouble here, she is probably going to go down here. But actually, she gets away with her life.
How did she do that? That's the ult from Rudolph. He doesn't get it to finish it off before Maokai gets back to tower, but what's sure is that both of them has to back now.
Everyone is attacking everyone at the same time in this game right now, with mid lane and top lane being very aggressive here.
True, Orianna is coming back with Lost Chapter and a finished Codex.
It's a really good back for her, getting both those items. We'll see Victor just upgrading his Hextech core there as he backs, which is the only thing that you'd expect him to do in the early part of the game. His introduction lands the hook. And that's a lot of damage down onto ID Curry. Mouse is maybe going to go down here, but they just don't have the damage necessary. Is that
there's a Victory there, actually getting the kill on Haki.
That's 4 in the bot lane.
I didn't see any. Yeah, there's 4 people in the bot lane. They're wanting to get the.
Miles is almost dead.
Karma getting away.
So much.
And Rudolph is going hard on Maokai, but sadly he does not getting.
I really like this rotation from Beserk eSports. They knew that that Orianna was in the mid lane alone, and that Kha'Zix was also in the bot lane, part of his jungle. So they were really able to rotate the entire team almost to the bot lane and get the first brick tower, which gives a lot of global gold to the entire team. So that's really good to have.
They could possibly also get the dragon, but since they don't know where, the Ivern is, I think they decided to not take the risk.
Exactly.
To this.
Plus it's an ocean drake, so it's not one of the most high priority drakes like an infernal drake or a mountain drake, so they don't really want to risk it that much. And also, they'd like for the Victor to go back to the mid lane. He's down by about 14 CS, but it was worth it for the gold that they got from the first brick tower.
Yeah, and not only that, but he did get a kill as well, so he's
so that would actually equalize the difference
gold,
between them. Yeah.
True.
We do see Rudolph in the bush here, looking to make a pick on Osen, but he does get spotted out by a ward. And he does...
I'm sorry, Rudolph, but you do not get to get a pick on this Maokai.
Not quite yet.
And that's another ult. But Maokai...
Is he going to die if this? He decides not to.
He's not going to die. Maokai uses his Arcane Smash to knock him away, making sure that he will not be getting his ult proc on him.
Ivern was not in a good position there, but his team was there to support him. Rudolph is very low here. If Osen had the mana, he could easily blow him up using his Arcane Smash and maybe his ultimate, which is available right now.
Yeah, but he, as you can see, is very, very low in mana. I don't even think he has enough for another Arcane Smash.
He really does not, no. He will just CS under tower before backing away and teleporting back to the top lane. Rudolph will have to back away here, but he has no teleport available, so he won't be back to lane as soon. So it will give Osen a little bit of a chance to try and equalize that CS difference in the top lane. He might be able to get an extra wave on the Fiora, but since the wave is actually pushing towards his tower, it's really going to help the Fiora rather than help Maokai.
True. So we see that Thresh is visiting mid lane, and Berserk is constantly pinging. No, wait, no, I'm sorry. Lekip is constantly pinging for the dragon. They really want the dragon. But
it would really help the Ivern, since he's not going to be in combat a huge amount. He'll just be using his shield, his trigger seed to try and heal or protect his team. So he's not going to be
Ivern's in trouble.
Just gonna hold that top for a second.
Daisy, making sure that Daisy takes the hook from Thresh, and there's the Victor with his ultimate. Fusa in trouble, managing to get a shockwave, and there's a couple of flashes in there. That was a bit too chaotic for me to see everything.
There was actually quite a lot. Quite a lot did happen there with the exhaust blown by Mal's, flash away from the Ivern, and also flash away from the Kazakhs, with both summoners always used by Victor. But nothing really happening besides that. There were summoners blown and ultimates blown, but nothing really came of it.
No kills, no dragon, nothing. And top lane is, as per usual, just top lane.
Top lane's just slugging it out, having a little bit of a fight here now and then. True. We do see the ultimate coming down onto Osun. He's doing a load of damage. That flash away, he does flash in and get the kill.
And he doesn't even take that much damage from the tower, seeing as his ultimate was down on the ground right there and just healed him for the tower shot.
Yeah, the heal from that is crazy sometimes. And we do see something that we see some of the pro players doing as Ivern, which is putting the bush down onto the neutral objectives like this, so the team, the enemy team, even if they have a ward in the pit, cannot see the health of the dragon because it is in a bush. So you can see it since you are in the bush, and the enemy team can't see it then. So the enemy team doesn't know when to go in and when to try and contest it, since they have no vision at all of the neutral objective. So you can do that on Baron or Rift Herald as well. So we see lots of pro players doing that quite a bit, just to try and get a little bit more of an advantage. And that's the shockwave in. Introduction flashes away.
Is there gonna be an ult from Jin, or no? Jin's not ulting. Fuzai barely escaping with his life, flashing away from Kazakhs.
Jin does not have his ult available, unfortunately. It will be available in about 10 or 15 seconds, but that is too little too late, I'm afraid. And we see something unusual from Haki. He might not be a huge Jin player, since he's not doing the leveling up of his abilities like pro players or higher elo players do. He has one of everything in each of his skills. He has his captive audience, which is his little rose that he puts down on the ground. He has that leveled up already, even though he's level 7. Normally you'd level up your Deadly Flourish and your Dancing Grenade as your first two, and you max both of them before you're going onto your captive audience.
Okay,
and so Osun going down,
getting the ult off and getting hooked by Thresh. Introduction coming in to save, if nothing else, their jungler. Trying to save their top laner as well, not working out too much, but they do get a kill on Fiora and some extra gold.
That actually works out really well for Rudolph. He gets a kill for a kill. He also has his teleport available. That's a flash.
And Curry going straight for Mal's, but not really hitting things.
That's like, 2 flashes burnt on the side of Beserk here, and Introduction is in a load of trouble. He might go down if he's not very careful. He does get knocked up by Daisy.
But it's not enough.
Ooh, the auto attack just gets Swix. That's just enough as the shockwave comes in. That's a double kill.
And a resonance double kill for Fuzat on the mid lane. That was really nicely played from them. They might have been able to get Thresh as well, and there's the ultimate from Jin trying to get Caitlyn, but missing every single one.
Even though we've seen better map rotations from Beserk in this game, we do see a lot more coordination for not just in team fights, but more coordination for rotations of the mid laners and of the jungler on the side of QLP. Because even though we saw Osun and the Kazakhs in the top lane with Introduction coming up to save the Kazakhs after Osun went down to Rudolph, we did see the rotation of the bot lane to the mid lane so that they can get that tower, and it's the most vulnerable tower. It's the best tower for them to actually get, since the lane is a little bit shorter in the mid lane compared to the bot lane and the top lane. So it's much better to open up the mid lane. and now they can rotate to the bot lane and try and push that in and gain more advantages that way. It also opened up the gold gap between the two.
Diving hard on top lane. I know you have your Hydra, Rudolph, but your lifesteal isn't that high, is it?
He also has double Dorns, so it's not too bad at all.
True, but still, Fusai coming in from the side, seeing
That's
the Kha'Zix and almost deleting him.
He had the ultimate available, so he could have killed him there if he wanted to.
Yeah, but I think he felt that he just wanted to chase him away and not waste his ult on a single enemy right there.
He does have the Morale Anomicon for some cooldown, so it wouldn't be that high at this level. Being level 11, it would be on the second level of his ultimate, so it wouldn't be that high a cooldown for him to actually have done it.
Yeah, plus he also actually does have blue buff, so he gets some extra cooldown there. But they're going through the top tower right now, and they are going to get it without any major issues right there.
They're definitely going to lose the mid lane tower,
chasing for them. Yeah, true. But they've already taken the enemy mid-9 tower. Rudolph coming in to defend for it.
He can defend it for a couple of seconds, but
yeah, but not that much. They have Caitlyn there, and Victor, so they have a lot of range to be able to poke it out. And look
that was
that
beautiful.
Wow.
That flash away did not save him.
But didn't no chance.
That is a beautiful play from QLP there. You'd think that they would have stayed to try and get the tower, but with the rest of Beserk rotating to the top lane, there's not much point in sticking around. They're looking to go in on the Rift Herald here, just to get that buff. Usually going to go over to the Fiora, but Fiora is rotating to the bot lane, so it's probably going to go over to the Orianna, who's because it's much better on the solo laners rather than anyone who's in the bot lane or for the jungle. But they decide to back away from it, peel back to the blue buff.
They're getting visitors from the Beserk eSports, so they don't want to risk losing their lives for the buff. It's a good buff to have, but it's not something that's worth losing 4 people for, or potentially losing 4 people. And they do have a push on top lane, and bot lane is pushing in favor of Beserk, so they kind of want to defend on that.
We do see Haki in the bot lane just solo farming here. It's really good for him since he's 16 ahead of the enemy AD carry anyway, so this will give him solo gold and solo experience, which is very good to try and snowball his already small little advantage that he has over the Caitlyn. It'll also allow the lane to push into the bot lane, maybe start a little bit of a slow push so that Beserk will have to respond to that rather than maybe going to contest the dragon. Usually they want to have that push in the bot lane anyway, so that it's much easier for them to actually try to take the dragon. Introduction does go in here, but it's a bit of a mistake as the seed does land onto Introduction and the bush does go down. There's a little bit of a fight at the top lane. Rudolph is stunned up under the tower. Take a little bit of a tower shot there. Not really what he wanted to happen.
True, but bot lane Introduction went in, but at the moment that he did, it wasn't really a good idea. Rudolph's stealing their red buff for himself. That's quite nice. And Introduction hitting another hook and getting a kill on Mal's. No, wait, I'm sorry, Orianna, I saw wrong. I'm blind. And there's a hook onto Hockey. They're getting Hockey as well, and they did get the Ocean
It did get stolen away by the Kha'Zix, as Rudolph is going to get the kill in the top lane. That ultimate will not do very much for the Maokai, but they did get 3 kills for this.
Yeah, they got a dragon and 3 kills, which is, in all honesty, a bad trade for QLP.
It is a very bad trade for QLP, but they do have the bot lane pushing in with the top lane also pushing in, so it's not a huge amount that can be done on the side of Beserk to try and defend the top lane tower. They can rotate to the bot lane to try and defend that, because it does have enough health left for to try and be contested. And also the bot lane is starting to push in the favor of Beserk, but I'm not really sure what they're expecting to do to try and counteract the plays being made by QLP.
Well, what they could do is they could try and defend against Fiora split pushing on top lane, but that would mean that they would need at least 2 people doing that, since Maokai can no longer duel her, and it's so they would need possibly both Maokai and Kha'Zix or Maokai and Victor, and that would mean that 2 of their or at least one of their main damages will be out from the team fight, which would not be a good thing. Not against the Orianna and the Karma,
I think,
or the Jhin for that sake.
I think that QLP actually had a better pick and ban phase as well. With Beserk going for more of a pick comp rather than a team fight comp. I'll talk about that in a second, as the Shockwave does a huge amount of damage, but no one's going down here, as Snifeld is in a bit of trouble.
Is in big trouble.
But he does get the kill. That's 3 kills on the side of QLP.
Fuzai is almost going down, but flashing out. They've lost their jungler, but that's about it.
That's a 4 for 1. They can push in the bot lane. And this is so good for QLP.
No way to try and get any of them. Maybe if he can get them isolated, but no way he can get any of them. Not when they're going together. He's going into the jungle to try and heal up, or is he going to try and defend the mid turret?
He really can't. He really can't do very much, especially against these 3 members of QLP with the range from all 3 of them. That he could just be poked out before he could get even close to try and assassinate one of them. Plus, with the Shockwave coming up in about 20 seconds, there's not really much he can do on his own anyway. But as I was saying before,
juking the hook barely.
As I was saying before that team fight broke out, I think QLP won the pick and ban phase anyway, going for more of a team fight oriented team comp rather than a poke team comp, which is really what the Kazakhs and the Victor is really there for. They want to get a pick onto the squishies like the Jhin or the Karma, but it's not really working for them. We do see Sniffle being caught out, and that is not a place he wants to be. The reception does go down, but
it's not gonna be enough. Kazakh's getting a kill right there, trying to get the Skull Crab. I did not think that Sniptwit would, sacrifice his own life for a Skull Crab.
Really,
but not only that, but it also means that they're gonna start Baron.
It really opens up the Baron
or maybe
for
not.
Berserk here.
Depends. That's
but
a
they do not
onto Caitlyn and a Fuzai being hooked. Getting off a Shockwave right before he died, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And
Miles does get caught by that hook. Miles is gonna go down here. There's no way he can get away from this.
He's being body blocked by Maokai as well.
That was poor on the side of QLP, but we do see Berserk making the right decisions in this part of the game. We saw them going on the Baron and then peeling away to fight QLP. That was the correct decision to make, because they do not want to get caught up in the Baron pit with the Orianna being alive and having the Shockwave available. She can just 5-man Shockwave into the Baron, and if Baron's low enough, she can get a pentakill and get the Baron if they're really not careful, because she is so big right now, having the Morellonomicon and the Rabadons.
She's a lot of damage, and not only that, but Baron does give you a debuff on your armor and magic resist, and your damage, so it's not so you don't want to be caught while fighting Baron by a very fed Orianna.
Definitely. We do see the Edge of the Night being picked up by the Jhin, which is really good to pick up if he can use that active proactively, really. If he could use it properly, where it takes 1.5 seconds for to actually proc that shield, which then lasts for a few seconds, which will allow for to block a ability that's being cast by an enemy at you. So it actually can be used really well, especially if you want to block that twisted advance from the Maokai, or block a hook from the Thresh.
Yeah, we see Rudolph being on bot lane while the rest of QLP is on top lane, wanting to clear out the lane and push into the tower, while Maokai is defending bot lane as good as he can against the Fiora, which is, in all honesty, not that well. And the rest of Berserk is loitering around in the jungle.
There's really not much that Maokai can do against this Fiora. Fiora will definitely just split push to her heart's content. Plus, with the 3 shields that they have on their team, QLP can just push the top lane if they want to. It's really just keeping Berserk away from the bot lane so that Rudolph can push as much as he can, so that Berserk will have to try and make a decision as to what they want to do. Right now we see them clumped up in the mid lane, so they're not really sure where they're meant to be or where they want to go. With the top lane pushing and Fiora pushing in the bot lane, they kind of want to push in the mid lane, but Dragon's up in 5 seconds, so they're really not sure what they want to do. It's all this map rotation, and the pace of the game is being dictated by QLP every single time, so it's really, they have to dance to the tune that QLP is playing, so they don't really know what to do right now. And Introduction's taking a lot of damage here.
Being caught out.
He's down at half health already. Daisy's going in. Curtain Call being channeled.
From, Hockey,
Introduction's gonna go down here.
That is one hit onto 2 hits onto the Thresh, and he's gone. They don't have a good, a good pick anymore, seeing as Thresh is gone, and that's another Ocean Drake for them. Rudolph is in trouble. Bad positioning right there, pushing a bit too much.
But he did have Fusai there as backup, so he also had his Shockwave available.
Yeah, and he did do his job. He distracted Beserk from the Dragon Pit and made it possible for them to get Dragon without any problems and without any contesting from Beserk.
What I was a little surprised with there, where there was the curtain call that killed Introduction, is that Maokai was also there, but didn't try to body block for the already half-health Introduction. That's just a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
It's just showing that Rudolph could play anything that they give him. And that's a flash from Easton. Fusai does go down, and that's a 3v1. Rudolph can get the kill here.
But he actually does get the kill on the Maokai, and since
he's gonna get a triple kill, it will really be no problem for him.
Double kill, triple kill. Nope.
It's gonna be a double kill, and Karma steals the triple. He can really almost 5v1 at this point. He has his Black Cleaver and he has his Ravenous Hydra. He can 2v5 in the very least.
Yeah.
He has so much lifesteal.
Yeah, and there we can see that there's not. If you want to make sure that that he doesn't, win, then you have to ban every single top laner, I think, because he seems to be comfortable with anything so far.
It's why we see more of his played champions being banned out, and we only see 1 or 2 bans against him, not all 3, because they can't ban him out. They banned the Camille because it's really overpowered right now, even with the nerfs that have been brought out. The Jace, he's just really gone on it, and he could have the melee from his hammer, and he could also have, because his hammer can switch into a gun, he also has the range for that, so he plays really well into tanks, even into Camille. So if they were to allow Camille to remain up and Beserk were to pick up Camille, it plays really well into Camille anyway. So it's not really much they can do to try and counter Rudolph here. They kind of have to make their picks in the other lanes and more proactively pick better junglers that will play into the rest of the game, not just into pick comps, but also into teamfight comps, which is really what QLP like to go for and what we've seen them pick in the past.
Yeah, they go for the teamfight comps.
So I'd like to see Beserk draft a little bit better and maybe think through their team comps better rather than picking champions that they know they're good at, but know that will play well with each other as well.
Yeah, and like what they, as you mentioned though, they should pick. They can't really counter Rudolph because Rudolph is comfortable with almost anything. And what they should do is on top lane they should pick something that, if nothing else, he can hold his ground-ish against Rudolph and focus on the other lanes getting them fed and snowballed instead. But what they've done here is, well, they haven't really been able to counter Rudolph at all, or snowballing the other lanes.
What I'd like to see them maybe pick up in the next game would be what's becoming very popular on a global scene, especially in the competitive circuit, is the Shen pickup. It's really good against tanks, but also really good against poke, like Rudolph's Fiora here, and also it has a global presence, so it can really snowball the rest of the lanes and really turn the tide of team fights or even skirmishes between 2 different champions. And Ocean's really gotta go down here.
Lane, though.
There's nothing you can do.
Ocean is going down so hard, and Fiora's not really caring about the victory either.
He has just so much lifesteal, he just doesn't care at all. Introduction's gonna grab Haki. Haki's gonna go down here. He's just
going down so hard, unless he has lifesteal. No, he does not have it. Does he even have any lifesteal? No, he has no lifesteal whatsoever. And that means that 1v2 against the Caitlyn with traps and her 90 caliber net is not something you want to do. And look at Rudolph not really having a care in the world.
That Shockwave just getting minions, and Fusai goes down. Malzahar is taking... Malz is taking so much damage as well. Curry flashing in Caitlyn aggressively.
Forcing 2 flashes. Snipset is being slowed by Victor's Rylai's, but they are going to get away with the help of Malz's shield.
Rudolph is coming in from the backside. If he wants to, he can help them do this with Daisy there. This is a 4v3, but they really can do it.
So wants to go in on that and wants to.
Fiora is there. That's a teleport coming in from the Maokai. It's a bit late, I think, with Rudolph doing so much damage. ID Curry going to go down, but ID Curry is actually staying alive.
Somehow. But
that gravity field really helped.
Fiora to get back. She lost way too much life and didn't really have enough life steal to go 1v5 like that.
She has a ton of life. She has a ton of lifesteal, but it's the gravity field that really stymied her. It held her in place, which allowed them to get a lot of damage down onto her, and his team was far too low after that for him really to try and 5v1.
True.
We do see a dragon coming up in about 38 seconds. It is a mountain drake, so this will really help QLP to siege. They really have to defend the bot lane on the side of Beserk, so they can't as easily contest this with top lane and bot lane pushing in. So they really have to try and make a decision here if it's better for them to defend the bot lane and try and push out the top and mid lane, or to try and contest this dragon.
True, and they also have they have the problem with having their inhib down on bot lane, and you can see that Rudolph is still not giving any fucks. He cannot find any fucks to give and keeps pushing, distracting Beserk from the Dragon Pit and making sure that that QLP can get the dragon without any major issues right there. And that's a Mountain Drake, so it'll be a lot easier for them now to take down towers.
And Fiora has so much damage onto the towers anyway that she just can really siege this bot lane in. She can get the Nexus turrets with the help of the super minions, and anyone who comes to respond, she can just really lifesteal off of them as the team pushes in the mid lane, which nothing really that Beserk can do to try and defend this.
There's the ult from Hockey.
It's not really finding anyone.
No, he got 2 hits, 1 or 2 hits off, but it didn't really.
The redemption really just healed them up anyway, so it didn't really do much.
Yeah, no, true.
But they are going to try and siege this mid lane with ID Curry backing away just to get the Phantom Dancer there to try and get more damage down onto the Fiora and onto the Jhin, which will allow for 10% damage to be not done. I'm really botching up how I'm phrasing that, but 10% of the damage during a fight with the person that you last auto attack, they will do 10% less damage to you. So that's really good pickup on the side of the Caitlyn. But I'd much rather see something from the lethality build. Like I'd much rather see her having picked the MF. Since the lethality changes in the last week or so has been really a huge buff to the AD carries like Varus, MF, and Jhin. And other
the ones who rely a bit more on casting spells than basic attacking.
Exactly.
Necessarily. So
it actually works a huge amount better, and especially in the late game with the MF, you just do so much damage with your ultimate. You do 3,000 or 4,000 damage with your waves, and you can just tear through everyone.
Before you continue, you need to adjust your sensitivity because you're cutting off a bit.
Am I?
Just noting because I'm missing a third of your sentences.
I shouldn't be, but alright, I'll change it.
Getting a good comment though from someone in the chat that against the Fiora misfortune is quite bad as there is no mobility, so it's a lot easier for Fiora to hatch onto her, which is a good point in all fairness.
With AD carries. With AD carries, they're mostly low mobility champions anyway. Like, even Caitlyn, she only has her flash and her 90 caliber net. Jhin has basically nothing. Varus has nothing. Ashe has nothing. So if you want to go for something, you want to go into the back lane.
Kha'Zix's almost going down. Oh, that's a nice 2-minute shockwave. Kha'Zix's going down. No one focusing Curry right there. Except for Jhin though. Getting the 2 hits onto the Victor. He flashes in, and then Sonya is to block for the Caitlyn, but it does end in an ace for QLP, and I think that's gonna be game.
This is definitely gonna be game here. With 30 seconds timers, just nothing they can do. They can really siege this.
And they have minions with them as well.
There's just nothing can be done. But with as the person in chat was saying, Yes, MF is really a mobile or low mobility champion, but so is every AD carry. So what you want to be is what you want to do is stand in the back line and then just attack from there, which you use your bullet time to do a huge amount of damage. You don't want to be in the front line. That's not what an AD carry does.
Still, but Fiora still has her. She has her gap closer, which when there is no mobility at all, like say with Misfortune, Caitlyn, Tristana has some form of mobility and some form of escape. But with Misfortune, you don't have any form of escape, which makes it easier for a Fiora to latch onto you unless you have a lot of peel.
Yeah, but what you'd want is for the Maokai to go in and root her up with the Twisted Advance, and then you just get loads of damage down onto her using your bullet time. Plus you have the Thresh there for the box. You also have the Kazakhs to try and harass her, so you have a lot of options there.
Yeah, true. We see her look at the total damage dealt to from the Fiora right there. She had twice the damage and more than the person who dealt the most damage in Beserk. And that does say something about Fiora and something about Rudolph.
Almost twice the damage of the next highest person in the game, which was the Orianna, 18,500. So much damage coming out.
Yep. What did I do? I'm just waiting for the have you gotten the invite? No?
No,
I'm
not
gonna
yet.
give you the invite. If my league client is acting up, I have to relog.
Alright, okay.
No, I'm not sure. Never mind. It stopped acting up. Never mind. I'm not sure what happened. So that's 1-0 to QLP right there.
It could be a clean sweep like we saw last week at 2-0, but I would hope for better drafting to come out from Beserk eSports. Maybe learn from their mistakes of the drafting that they had this time.
True. We're having some troubles in the chat here, though. People are trying. Yeah.
I can see that. I just turned on the stream there. Yeah.
Yeah. What I do think is funny though is Tomasos asked, why donate 10k? Well, why did you donate the tenner? Like he donated a euro approximately, telling us to learn better English. Apparently, our English is not very harsh. Our English is not good. And, well, to be honest,
I speak fluent English, thank you.
yeah, definitely. And of course, they're trying to get me to make the logo for Beserk spin, which is impossible considering I don't have a GIF of it. Are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's go.
It's all good.
I would ask the chat to try and behave a bit more during this match.
Yeah, that camera brush as well.
Become a bit distracting for me as well. But yeah. So now we've switched sides and we also see that Miles is not Miles, but Fusai is being switched out with Racer. So it's gonna be fun seeing what kind of gameplay the Racer will bring.
That's gonna be pretty interesting since Razor is more of the accomplished mid laner on the side of QLP, so we might see a little bit of the change of the draft, but we do see the same ban as the first ban coming out from Beserk Gaming with the Jace ban. Yeah, try
getting that Jace away from Rudolph, and that's still a blank ban, same as last time.
And the Camille coming out from. I'd expect the exact same bans from Beserk, and maybe the same bans, maybe the same bans from QLP. With the Kazakhs actually haven't been banned out again, forcing him. Wait, actually, the Kazakhs was not banned out. It was the the Zac banned out in the last game.
That's the Fiora ban. That's a very targeted ban. They do not want that. But that means that I'm gonna be interested in what Rudolph's gonna be picking now.
I would expect I would expect Snidveld to be picking the Rengar unless Heranther goes for it. I'd expect for the side of Beserk to go for the Zac more than QLP, but they do go for the Jhin as the first pick on the side of Beserk. Here is the Zac coming in with the MF as a hover.
I told you the Zac. They're hovering the Zac.
Yeah, you said Zac for Beserk. You said Zac for Beserk.
No, I said Zac for QLP.
Oh, QLP. Sorry. No, I said Zac for Beserk. Yeah.
Yeah, you said Zac for this, right?
Yeah, he's taking away the Zac on the side of QLP so that Herandir will have to go for maybe the Hecarim. His two most played champions are the Kha'Zix and the Zac, so it's really put onto something that he isn't hugely great on. So he'll have to go for the
his third best. Which,
for maybe Ivern, or
the Ivern,
he has been playing Ivern a good bit lately.
He can do the same.
He has been playing Ivern a good bit lately, but he is more accomplished on the Hecarim. But the Ivern would be a better pick with that Jhin pickup. But the MF, I do like that with Zac going and using his Let's Bounce. He can really be proactive and allow for the MF to use his
Are you saying the same as
time.
me? Is Beserk just but is Beserk just mirroring?
Right now they are.
For the team comp from last round, they're trying to no, that's another fresh pick though. It would have been fun though if they had actually tried to mirror to see if maybe we'll do better with this kind of team comp.
I would have been a little surprised if they didn't go for the Thresh pick since Introduction's main champion, but it does give the Karma over to QLP, which did do very well into the Thresh in the last game.
It did.
So I would expect maybe a control mage in the mid lane, like.
Yeah, well, to be honest, though.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. I'm actually. It's not necessarily that the Karma would have gone to Mal's.
There we go.
We see that Razor is locking in the Corki now, but the thing is, Razor also has a little history on Karma as well, and he's been doing fairly well on her. But we can see that Hockey is locking in Karma for Mal, and Razor is locking in Corki, who I know that he's been doing fairly well with lately in solo queue.
What I like about this draft from QLP is there's so many flex in this that Corki can be flexed to the AD carry. Karma can be flexed to the mid lane with MF being flexed to support as well. So there's so much flex in this team comp that they can go with almost anything.
Yeah,
so they don't know who's going to go where, and they've yet to pick their top lane. So they can really do anything they want with this team comp. But realistically, it's going to be MF AD carry with Corki in the mid and Karma as the support. And maybe they'll go for a tanky top lane. But really, Rudolph likes to go for more of those poke champions. So I'd be expecting. I'm really not sure what I'd expect since Jace and Fiora have been banned out as well as the Camille, so it's 3 target bans for him.
Yeah, they literally banned all their bans were for Rudolph, and it's gonna be fun seeing what it counter picks. They're picked Poppy on top lane and Zed on the mid lane.
Poppy plays really well into almost anything, so it's a really good standard pick to put in the top lane, especially blind picking it.
Yeah, and but I have a feeling that Sid actually might have some problems against Razor, since Razor has been using he used to play Sid a lot, so he knows, all the mechanics, or most of them in any case, and so he might, he might actually be able to outplay him just because of that, and that's Vayne for top lane.
That's a really interesting pick. They do need a little bit more AP since the mid laner is going to be the Corki.
No. That's okay. For half a second, I was getting worried right there.
No, it's not going to be the Karma top.
No need to worry.
We're talking about that Zed into the Corki pick that you were talking about a second ago. In the early part of the game, in the first couple of levels, it's going to be a little bit hard for the Zed since Corki has the range. But it'll get a little bit easier, but from level 6 it's going to be a bit easier for the Zed since he'll be able to dash around using his shadows and use his ultimate to get the picks onto the Corki and then dash away using his shadows. So Razor will have to try his best to stay under the tower and to try and, I don't know, make the most of his laning phase and with his rotations as well.
True. It's gonna be an interesting match to see if we'll get a clean match as last week, or if we're actually gonna have to go for another one to see who wins.
Well, talking about the team comps, there's still a little bit of a pick comp on the side of Beserk, but it's a little bit better in the drafting. I don't like the Zed pick in the mid lane. It's a little too pick comp. In my opinion, they should have gone for something more like a control mage in the mid lane, especially since they have no AP, so they can just go for the innate tankiness, the huge tank on the side of the Zac. Just go for the armor and the health. There's a little bit of AP that will be on the side of the Ivern, but since he's that utility, that support jungler, there's not going to be a huge amount of AP on the side of that, unless he really wants to build that, but it doesn't go very well with Ivern. So he just has to build that tankiness on the Zac, and it's also tankiness on the Swain. And Swain has a little bit more range, well, a good bit more range than the Poppy, so he'll be doing so much damage with that AP onto the side of Beserk. I really don't like that Zed in the mid lane.
Yeah, no, it was a bit too pick oriented instead of instead of the team comp kind of game that QLP again is actually going for, and well, they're going for a bit of poke / team fight. Quirky has his package, which is a really nice way to disrupt the team fight, and so yeah, that is definitely something that's nice. Hopefully, Zed won't be able to pick off Misfortune very easily, and if nothing else, like maybe if they're lucky, she gets to take him out first with her bullet time.
It really depends on how Berserk played the laning phase. Bot lane can do very well into the MF Karma. Karma will be pushing in a lot using her mantra Qs and using her poke and her range just to harass Berserk's bot lane. But what I like about the drafting of the bot lane for Berserk is that they have, even pre-level 6, they have so much damage and so much zoning ability, just using the Thresh even, and using the Dancing Grenade, that they really go even using between the MF and the Jhin, but it's more the supports that make the lane back and forth, because I had a point to make, and it was a really good one, but I forget what it is. I just lost it in the middle of it. But it will be an interesting bot lane anyway, because from maybe level 11, the MF will be doing so much more damage using her ultimate than the Jhin will. They'll both be going for the lethality build, so you'll be expecting the Ghost Blade, and then they'll be diverting their builds a little bit. Probably MF will be going for the Black Cleaver as a second item, maybe into Dusk Blade. Really not sure. It depends on how each AD carry wants to build it. You can even build the crit build on MF. That still works really well. So it could go either way.
Yeah, and both crit build and the lethality build works really well with her passive as well.
It does indeed, which makes her really powerful. If you can land that her Q the way it dodges from one minion to another, or one champion to another, if you can land that properly, then it can do so much damage, even getting you down from 100 to 50% health in one hit later on in the game. So if you can use that properly, it can do so much damage, and it really out damaged the Jhin.
True.
We do see the AD carries starting off with the new build for AD carries.
Longswords.
It is a really popular build in competitive.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? We see here that they want to go for. It seems like they want to go for, and they're gonna go and wait for MF and Karma to come in. They're gonna surprise them and knock them straight out, giving them a 2-kill lead. That's what we're seeing right here.
I don't know if they're really going to rely on this, since they'll really want to go and leash instead, and MF and the Karma are not in lane.
Ivern doesn't need a leash at all.
Technically not, no.
No. It's not technically. Ivern does not need a leash. You will destroy his jungle if you give him a leash. Basically, he will. What he will do is
but you can also leash the top
he's gonna use his passive on the buffs, and then he's gonna, on the buff, on the Scuttle Crab maybe, and on the other two camps, and then we will go back and get the buff and then the other camps. So we see here that minions have spawned and arrived in lane, getting a pull from bot lane, starting blue buff. on QLP's side. Razor trying to do some harassment onto the Zed using his range advantage right there.
He's
But
not.
seems to have been fairly unsuccessful, as he's the one who has less health.
We see Razor here concentrating more on the CSing rather than concentrating on poking Zed out in the early game, which is really what he should be doing. He should be, instead of concentrating on auto-attacking the minions, he should be waiting for his minions to get it down to a last hit range and be all the rest of the time just poking Zed out using his basic attacks. But he's not doing that really. He's maybe the odd time giving a basic attack towards Zed, but he's mostly pushing the lane, which is really just helping the Zed.
So, but currently though, everything is fairly quiet. Razor actually taking more harass than he's giving. One would think that he would know better. Oh, that's a nice combo from Swain with the bird Beatrice coming to visit and his stun right there. Mal's literally just walking forward, juking the hook, and
Razor taking a lot of damage, having to
Razor
Valkyrie away.
is actually almost gone.
Razor not playing this lane properly at all.
No, I wouldn't think he would have more control, seeing as he knows Zed quite well, and Hockey is in trouble. He does not have that much HP left.
See, this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about prior to the game starting. He has so much damage in that passive, but if he can't hit it, then that's most of his damage gone. But most of the damage from Hockey, is off of his Q hitting from one minion to another. So you want to get into the last hit range, then Q, and then it does even extra damage once the minion dies. So you really want to play it off that, but he's not getting the opportunity to do it, or he's just not doing it properly.
Yeah, but he still was able to give a lot of harass onto MF there though. But MF has used both of her potions, while Hockey just used his second potion right there.
But the advantage that Beserk have in this lane is the Thresh. The Thresh has his Relic Shield, which will allow for a little bit of healing using that passive. He just has to last hit a minion, then it'll give a little bit of healing onto Curry, but Haki is actually landing his Qs now, which is doing so much damage for him, which is really what I like to see.
Yeah, that's really nice, especially when he manages to kill the minion with his first hit of double up, because that gives, I think it's 150.
I'm not sure on the
150% extra damage.
I'm not sure on the damage ratio. That's first
blood on Thresh, and Mal's is probably gonna go down as well, giving a kill to Curry right there. Hockey getting out, but
this is a great start for Beserk.
Yeah, it is. There are 2 kills up, but Rudolph's the only one who's currently winning lane. And here we see that Beserk is doing the same technique that QLP did last round, which is hiding the dragon into the bush so that they won't be able to know when they could be able to steal it.
It's a pretty standard thing at the moment for Ivern players, so it's good to see anyone, even in just a tournament like this, to be using that technique to try and outplay their opponents a little bit.
Trying to get Usten. It's he missed his slingshot, and he missed his what's it called, the one where he stretches out his arms. I'm not very familiar with Sack's abilities. I just know what I do.
I forget the name.
The one he just used. Yeah. But in any case, though, he messed with both of those. He didn't get to be able to slow her or knock her off, so it doesn't really get the kill right there.
What the chat's actually talking about right now is a very good thing to point out, that Razor had his exhaust available in that 1v1 against the Zed, but he didn't use it at all. So it vastly reduces the amount of damage that champions like Zed or Yasuo will do against you. So it's very unusual that he didn't use that in that matchup. It could have even saved his life, since he had Flash available as well.
True. We see Rudolph here has got his ult, so he's using that to heal back up on the minions. That's one of the real nice things about about Swain. He has lots of survivability and stuff like that.
He is doubling the CS of the enemy Poppy, but Poppy doesn't have the range that the Swain has, and when she goes in to try and CS, he does fiercely punish her, like we saw him doing there. Not doing much damage though, since he does have that Kindle Gem.
Yeah, he does, and not only that, but she has her shield as well. So she did get that. Plus, Beatrice decided to focus on minion instead of Poppy. So, and there's he missing his stun, but he does get quite a lot of damage from Beatrice right there.
Rudolph could go in on this if he had more mana, but he is really low on mana, and he's gonna be gone in on here. If he's not careful, he's going to die. He could have been hit against a wall.
He's not going to die, but he has to flash.
Austin really could have gotten the kill there. He miss hit with his Guardian's thing. I forget the name of it. I'm so bad with names today. With his knockback, he missed what he could have hit him against the wall so easily and gotten the kill there, because it would have given him the stun and would have given him the ability to last hit. So he really screwed up there and allowed Rudolph to flash.
Right there. Yeah, he had to flash out of there to make sure that Zed didn't get a kill on him. Zed already has one kill, and they're going in on Hockey, forcing his flash, stunning him, and he's gone.
That's a kill for a kill,
though. He does get the kill as well, so they got 1 for 1, and they're basically still equal. But Misfortune actually do have a bit more gold, seeing as she does have more farm. She has 7 more farm.
She is also a kill behind, so they're relatively even anyway.
Yeah, she is, true. Yeah, they're fairly even. I didn't see the second kill on June right there.
But MF has picked up 2 control wards here, so really looking to up the warding game in this game.
Yeah, making
no
sure.
wards
There's
having been picked up by ID Curry.
Said, but I didn't get anything from it. Rudolph's actually struggling a bit against the Poppy right there, especially when she gets her shield. And but his spell vamp from the ult does help a lot. Zac going in is not gonna hit his knockup, and they should not tower dive a Poppy. That's not a good idea.
And Razor is in so much trouble here. He uses exhaust, but he's just blowing up anyway.
Yeah, it's not enough. This is what we've seen in earlier games, though. They're having trouble in the second game, so which has been a bit of a trend.
Yeah, we have seen
matches.
QLP struggle in the second game of this tournament in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but then once they get through the mid to late game, once they get to that stage, they start to come back.
And
Austin is going to go down as well if he's not careful.
Zed is on a killing spree. That is not good. He's 3-0, and he just got a kill on Rudolph.
We're going to see him going for the lethality build as well, so it's not really much that Zac can do here.
Sneakfoot's in trouble. Getting the Zac's passive right there. They're having Daisy tank the tower for a little bit, and there's the smite from Ivern, but they actually both almost got taken out by the tower.
And that was a nice hook by introduction. Loads of damage coming down onto Hacky, but he uses his bullet time, but he will go down if he's not careful. Miles will have to body block this, but Hacky was almost in the way, but Hacky is going to go down to the flay.
He is gone. He should not have gone in on that, especially not when... Oh, that's a miss on her Mandrake right there. She's
beautiful,
flashing out, getting out with his life, but he still lost his flash.
Very well played on the side of both
teams. He could have killed introduction,
teams.
But he missed his mantra Q.
It was very well played by both teams, though. The heal was used by ID Curry to keep him alive. Oh, we do see a pause coming out.
Yeah, not sure what is happening, but there's some lag.
On the side of Misfortune.
On there. Karma.
Oh, on Karma, yeah.
Yeah.
Super lag. Or sup lag. NA Jin, yeah. I don't know. He had no vision of where the MF was at that point, so he couldn't really tell where she was. Plus, he wasn't sure if Miles was actually body blocking him at that time, even though he wasn't. So you can't really blame him for not being able to do it. NA production. It's
that now, yeah.
Irish Norwegian production, mostly Norwegian, but you know.
Yeah. It's Vepson is trying to insult us. It's not really working.
Well, I'm not the boosted Jin.
Yes, you heard sounds from World of Warcraft. Boyfriend is sitting right next to me playing World of Warcraft without his headset on. He was talking about when the Thresh was 1v1 in Karma.
Who is?
When the Thresh was 1v1 in Karma after Thresh killed MF,
yeah.
And Jin decided to not follow up immediately. Because if he had, they would have gotten Karma, definitely.
They would have, but the reason why Jin didn't follow up immediately by grabbing the lantern is he couldn't physically grab the lantern because there was a minion on it. You see,
when he was...
It's because the reason why he did that was because it was actually faster to clear that cannon minion. It was actually faster to clear the cannon minion and grab the lantern than it would have been to walk through the minions, because the minions would have blocked him off a little bit. So it was actually quicker to get the last hit down onto the cannon minion and clear that minion up, and then grab the lantern. So either way, he wouldn't have been able to get it unless that cannon minion wasn't there. Ooh. That's a load of damage on the Razor.
Yeah, Razor takes one harass and is almost forced to back immediately. All that Swix needs to do now is shadow into range, ult him, and use his shadow on the way out.
That Zed pick is actually working really well for them. I expected a lot better play from Razor. He's not really using his range to his advantage like he should have done in the first 2 or 3 levels, and that's really coming back to bite him. And he really won't have his power spike until he gets his Trinity Force anyway. Sinfeld going in to try and defend this tower a little bit, but Mouse is in a load of trouble. That Flay going onto him. Mouse is just going to be blown up here. He's in no position to get away.
No, and MF realizes that and just gets past them. We see Rudolph going on to top lane trying to kill the Poppy, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy for him, as Poppy does have... Merc threads and a Kindle gem, so she does have a bit of health and some magic resist. So it's not. Plus her shield is fairly strong even in the early levels.
That was a nice zoning hook
that's
from
some nice damage from MF, but she is going to be
She is so gonna go down here.
Yeah.
Swix on a rampage here on this Zed. There was nothing really she could do there. All she could do to try and contest that dragon is to use her bullet time to try and seal the dragon, which she can do because it does do damage there. But since she was so close to the dragon, she could have tried it, but not really any point.
She would have been gone in half a second.
And Razor's gonna go down here as well.
Razor is gonna go down again. Why are you going in, Razor? You're not going to be able to outplay that. I am not sure what he was thinking.
The reason why he stayed there is because he was ignited, but that was a really bad play by him anyway, because he did have I think he had 1 or 2 of his pots of his corruption potion available to him. I'm not too sure, since he does have the 3 of them since he died, but he did have at least 1 available for him, so he probably would have survived there.
Yeah, he would have survived the ignite if he had popped his corruption potion and gotten away. He even had his flush, but instead he decided to continue. And we see that Beserk is getting the first blood turret, so yeah.
This is definitely going to go down for ID Curry. The minions might get it on their own, but we do see Corki coming to the bot lane. I think he does have package.
Yeah, we see Rudolph going ham on Poppy, but he's still not doing that much damage to her. She is getting more and more magic resist, Swain just got his Rod of Ages.
She is getting quite tanky, but Swain will get quite tanky himself, and he is going to go for that Rod of Ages stacking, which in the next 10 minutes will get him really powerful.
And
which will really
but missing her stun.
Really allow for Rudolph to do so much damage, because he'll have that much mana and that much AP from the Rod of Ages that he'll be able to just continually use his ultimate and try and get that damage down onto the Poppy. He'll be really good in team fights, if nothing else, but he is being knocked back here. Rudolph could be in trouble. Austin decided not to go in on it.
Trouble. Poppy decided not to do anything more. She just wanted to clear the minions in front of her tower.
And Ivern just clearing out a little bit of vision here in the mid lane. As he's rotating to the top lane to try and get a pick onto Rudolph, he has cleared away that control ward there, but Osen is in a bit of trouble. If he's not careful, he's going to go down.
Yeah, he doesn't have any mana.
Daisy
but
does
there
pop
is
up,
Daisy.
but he has to back away. He has no
Rudolph
mana and almost no health.
Juking the stun at least, so, but he's still taking some. No, he's not actually not. He's getting that 50 gold for Daisy though, nothing else. And
Force the flash away.
Force the flash.
Rudolph is
and
taking
there
this
comes
fight.
Zac with the knock-up. And
Let's Bounce is
go.
doing
There's
some work there, but the Trigger Seed does help him stay alive for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
As that ultimate comes down onto
Rudolph.
Rudolph is probably going to go down here. The damage isn't
No,
quite
he's
enough
not down
onto
yet,
Rudolph,
and
but
there we go.
Osen's going to go down anyway.
No.
Well, Osen does not go down. The last hit from the turret doesn't quite proc on time.
I'm not sure what happened there, but that is also a very gone Razor if he is not careful. Please tell me you have
Razor's no, Razor's going to go down.
not. That's a double kill for Set. Set is 6-0-3, with Jin being 3-1-2 and MF being 1-3-0. This is not a good game for QLP.
It really is not. They were forced onto a champion that we haven't seen Rudolph play in the past, and we have seen Razor play the Corki in the past, and he has done so much better on that champion, but he just did not respect the Zed pick, and in the early game he didn't respect it enough to poke him out of lane as much as he really should have done. And Miles is going to go down here if he's not careful.
But Zac is coming in for the rescue and making sure Jin stops his ultimate.
We see the Jin is going for Edge of the Night here, since he has his pickaxe and he has his not Sarek
Yeah, they do have some AP, so it's a good pick.
It is a really good pick, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but
Edge of the Night is not something that MF would want to go, considering the fact that Rudolph's in big.
Rudolph is just going to be blown up. He was really terrible positioning there.
Yeah, what is happening with QLP? They're losing their control yet again for their second game. This is not the first time this has happened.
We haven't seen it go to this. We haven't seen it go this badly for QLP ever. They've had 2-0 for the last 2 weeks.
I've seen it go this bad for them before.
In this tournament, I mean.
yeah, this season to be honest, this is only the second match of the season, so it's kind of difficult.
Wasn't this is? I thought this was their third.
Yeah, no, this is their second.
Second?
For this season, second, yeah. It's been a bit of a trend that I was gonna say, they've had it's been a bit of a trend that they've stomped in the first match and then they've lost a bit of control for some reason in the second match, and I'm not really sure why.
But what we saw last week is that they lost control in the early part of the second match, and they still pulled it together and actually started to think through their map movements and the rotations and what they're trying to do to the enemy team and what the enemy team's going to do to them. So they managed to pull it together and actually come out 2-0. But what we see here is 14-1, and it's almost a 10k gold gap. There's just nothing that they're doing right in this game, as he's forced to flash away on the Zac, but he does get stunned up by that deadly flourish.
And that's
gotta go down.
Very dead hockey. Nothing. That was a lot of bursts from Jin, and with Deathfire touch as well, that means that, I'm sorry MF, but you don't have enough health.
He had to use his heal there, and it was still not enough. This tower is going to go down so quickly and so easily. The MF pick is really good into Jin, but Jin is also really good into the MF. You just have to play your laning phase perfectly to get ahead on either of these champions.
And now we see them taking yet another Drake.
It's going to be an Ocean Drake for them, as well as the Air and
to get away.
It was a good use of the package, because the package does have a lifetime where if you don't use it, it does go down anyway, so it was a good use of the package.
Yeah, so you might as well use it.
But there's nothing that they could really do. That Fresh is even too tanky for Razor to do any damage to him at all. He seems to be going for his Hextech Gunblade as his second item, but this could spell disaster for Razor, as not quite enough damage onto Razor from that ultimate, but it does chunk him out for almost half his health.
True, and that's very true. And we see here that they're going for another tower, getting the brush up so Ivern can get his ranged basic axe.
They don't have quite a good siege camp, especially since Jin is back at the base, but they can do quite a bit of damage with that Zed.
There getting hooked. He's
The
probably
bullet
gonna go
time
down. He's not getting down, but
wasn't a
that's
bad
nice...
bullet time, but it could have been better. It was kind of off of point.
And
A
there's
shutdown onto the Ivern.
On Ivern right there from Corki, but it's not enough. They still have an inhib down on mid. They have an open. No, they don't. Their inhib is not open, but the towers. Oh, Swick's getting away from that, and Snoop Twed is gonna go down. There is no way he could survive that.
This is not a good position for QLP to be in. They have one inhibitor being down, and they can just rotate on the Baron if they want to, but I'd rather see them push in the top lane now that they're on that side of the map, and defend that top lane tower as well. Push in the top lane, maybe get it to the inhib turret, and then rotate to the Baron as they're trying to defend the mid lane and the top lane. But it's much more beneficial for them to rotate to the bottom lane, that way they'll be on the wrong side of the map to try and contest the Baron.
True. I'm just trying to think through ways that QLP might be able to get back from this, but it's gonna be difficult for them. They have 2 kills in total.
What they can do is, the only thing I can foresee for them to do right now is to try and Baron steal, but that's going to be very hard against the Ivern, since the Ivern can just use his bushes to prevent them from getting any vision down. They'll have to use their Scrying Orb, their Farsight Alteration trinket to try and get that vision, but it could just be taken out with one hit. And Karma's just going to be knocked down. And
Karma's going to go. Swix is making sure of that.
MF doesn't quite go down. One more hit and she would have been dead, but she got away from the curtain call on time, and they can spell Baron from here.
Yeah, they are going to get for it. Swix going for Rudolph as well. Rudolph doesn't have enough anything and is just going to simply go down. This is actually beautiful. The worst game I've seen from Rudolph in ages. 0 and 4 on top lane.
This is mostly with the work of the Zed in this game. The Zed doing so much work for them, and it's a surrender coming in.
Yeah, so that's a 1-1 to between Beserk and QLP right there.
That was very well played on the side of Beserk. They drafted so much better. They drafted better than they did in the last game. I'd like to have seen a little bit of AP on their team, because they didn't really have any at all. If you look at the item builds for Ivern, he does have that Athene's Unholy Grail and that Darxil, but that only gives him 15 and 40 ability power, so it's not really much ability power from that. He didn't fully upgrade his Tracker's Knife either, so he didn't have the ability power from Runic Echo or anything from that. But they did play much better in that game around their team comp.
Yeah, and a lot of it, as it's been pointed out in the chat as well, has been because a lot of it is because of the set, because simply because Razor lost so much lane pressure in the beginning. He went way less aggressive and he lost first blood, and it just basically technically lost them the game in a way, because he started getting fed. He didn't even die once. It was 10-0. Mm-hmm. So this game was not a good game for QLP, not at all.
I'm not sure what Razor could have done in the mid lane once he started getting behind after level 3 or 4. I'm not really sure what he could have done to try and bring it back, apart from farm under tower, but that would still... Apart from farm under tower, but that would still facilitate roams from the Zed. Zed could just roam to a top lane or the bot lane and just do so much work for his team. You might see a Zed ban coming out from QLP this time. Otherwise, Beserk might try and pick up that Zed maybe in the first rotation, since it worked so well for them in this game.
True. What was I gonna say? I'm not sure if there's gonna be another one actually. No, since I'm not getting an invite, so I was under the impression that it's 3v3, but
well, it should be best of 3. The last few have been.
Yeah, but for some reason it's not.
Is it not?
I'm not sure. I haven't gotten an invite yet from Razor, so it might be that it's just that it's just too 2 games played.
That'd be a little unusual. But looking at the damage charts, we see that Zed did as much.
It's only 2.
It's only 2?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, so no more casting. Feels bad.
Yeah, I watched the cast another game.
Yeah, but we see it again though that look at loses their control that they've had in the first game. They're not that good at getting it over to the second game.
Yeah,
they're struggling having their control and their communication and their rotation into the second game from the first game.
I think that Beserk really banned better this game. They went directly for the Fiora and the Jace, what they knew that he would go for. So I think their pick and bans was much better this time. But what I wanted to mention there very quickly was that Zed did as much damage in that game as the rest of his team combined.
Yeah.
Which I think is really funny.
Yeah, but and we see here though that it's the mid lane that kind of carries the game a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in this game, definitely was the mid lane that carried it.
Indeed. So that is the end of the casting. At least I'm thinking I'm still gonna play some though. It's 9:30, so I'm gonna be right back for a couple of minutes. Do you want to play some Duke, Sven?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna be right back in a minute or so, and we'll be playing some solo duo queue to entertain you guys with our very, very bad plays.
Very bad plays. I'm great, thank you.
Yeah.
You can see
we're both bad.
You can see how AD carry is meant to be played.
Oh yes, definitely.